I touched on how the person victimized by narcissistic abuse experiences rage, anger, hurt as a result of being with a narcissist, and definitely post-narcissistic engagement. I want to pivot over to one of the most insidious aspects of the narcissist himself and how it affects you, and that is narcissistic rage. The narcissist, when they're in love bombing and they're clinging onto the mask, they present themselves as even-tempered, charismatic, even charming. Usually, especially in the case of the covert, but even with the overt, part of their mask is a demonstration of cool. Whether you're dealing with a workplace narcissist, familial, or spousal, in the early stages, one of the things that probably most attracted you was their even-temperedness and their ability to maintain composure even in difficult situations. The narcissist gives the impression that they're not only together, but they're strong and mature enough to help you look at things from a different perspective that may ruffle your feathers in day-to-day life, or things with your kids, or things with the job, or whatever it might be, bills. The narcissist has this way of faking security for you. And as the relationship progresses and you begin to pick up on their fucked up, weird behaviors, and they begin to show more of who they really are, that initial together calm demeanor dissipates. And not only with you, when they have their rage fits, one of the most shocking things is when you see that narcissist demonstrate rage or frustration toward other people. The overt narcissist that sadly was my spouse was doing some contract work, and the client that he was dealing with was displeased with something or another. Can't remember the details. It was a while ago, long time now. But instead of the creature understanding where the client was coming from and simply reconciling and making the thing right, he lashed out verbally and then in a written email so aggressively toward the client that when I saw it, when he showed it to me, I was so stunned. Now, I'm a pretty assertive person, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm not shy about expressing my loves, my likes, my dislikes. But there's a way to do things. And his reaction was so disproportionate to the client's request that it sent a shiver down my spine, because it was so incongruent with the person that I had come to know up until that point for years, who, again, would take things on the chin. The covert narcissist in my life, or one of the covert narcissists, but the most recent, completely wigged out in a fit of verbal road rage against a woman. I was in the truck with him, and there was a woman driving, and he was in the wrong. And I had never before seen him ever talk to anyone in public in any aggressive way, because he was more introverted, again, covert. Yet, on a Saturday evening, when there's no need to get into an argument with someone on the road because the roads are clear, was no issue. It wasn't super late at night. There was no alcohol involved. It was just, we were heading out for dinner. I think he cut someone off, accidentally, and she, I think, threw her hands in the air or whatever. And he just rolled down the window and just started yelling at this woman. Those are just two examples. And if you know, you know, right? The narcissist begins to rage out and lose all of their decorum once they know that you know. You see, as the relationship progresses and you clearly are no longer being an audience member for the narcissist, you're no longer giving that so-called grade A supply where you're not fawning after everything they say, and you're not clapping like a seal for everything that they do, and you're not impressed by, the breadcrumbs that they drop or the little accomplishments that they have. Whereas before you were so enthusiastic and you were supportive because you believed you were dealing with a genuine person. When you realize you're dealing with a fucking fraud, that enthusiasm wanes and begins to fizzle out. And when that happens, all bets are off. This is why when you and the narcissist have a disagreement, usually precipitated by the narcissist, and usually something that doesn't even need to turn into an argument, it becomes an argument because the narcissist is on a perpetual state of defense. Their entire disposition is on eggshells because they know that they're fake. They may not know that they are a narcissist by label. They may know. It doesn't matter. They don't care that they're toxic. They don't care if they harm or hurt you or anybody else. You see, the whole point of them covering that side of them, which always was there since childhood, they've had major issues and have never had a personality, have never had authenticity, and certainly never had empathy. They had to fake all those things in order to get you and to get everybody else that they've had in their life, or else they would have no supply, right? But they always knew that the facade they were giving you, they could only hold up for so long. And once it became clear that you were no longer buying into the facade, they could give two shits. Right? The mask, it's not slipped, it's off. There is no mask. They don't even remember the mask. The narcissist doesn't even remember what they told you in the first 6 months to a year that they were in your life. The memories that you have, the things that you were clinging on to before you became clear about narcissistic abuse, you were hopeful about that person returning, and part of why you stayed on for, months or years later is because you remembered that person. The narcissist does not. They were acting. What you got to remember, and the thing that's going to help you really come to terms with all of the narcissists in your life, whether you're still in the relationship or not, it may be hard to hear and hard to accept, but you have to do it. Okay? The narcissist was never real. the creature that you've come to know toward the end is the being. That person that you met in the beginning, that person that you got close to, that you fell for, became close friends with, fell in love with, all of that was an act. It doesn't exist. It never existed. It was pretend, because they had to do it in order to lock you in. Break free from the narcissist. Stop the rumination. Do your shadow work. Do what it takes to break free completely from this toxicity. Go after the life that was meant for you.